SNAIL.com. We have been still getting snow out here. Got some more snow yesterday and last evening, but this is what it looks like out my kitchen window. Is that not amazing? Oh, I just love it out here. It's so awesome, and we have lots more snow in the forecast, so let winter be here, I suppose. We will be safe, much safer in our fire season this summer as a result of it. So, good morning, Tammy. I'm going to flip this around. There we go. Morning, everybody. Okay, I think I'm going to sit right here today. See how this works. Okay. You guys getting snow in your neck of the woods too, my dear? The snow gets really crazy out here because we hit a point where we start to get concerned as to whether we will be able to get in and out, just with our equipment being down at the moment. Our backhoe is down and our homestead truck is down, so not being able to plow real good, it gets a little sketchy. Last week, Glenn was able to get out of here with chains on, and was able to get some pathways going out there on the lanes, so that made it a lot easier and a lot better for us. And just so crazy. We get rain, we get snow. It's just nuts. I'm just going to plug in my machine here. Bear with me a second so that my battery stays good today. So you are getting more snow. So crazy. And you guys have the cold temps. It's cold here. I think it was 22 this morning. That's a positive 22, where you guys are having negative 22. But for those of you that are new to Trayer Wilderness, my name is Tammy Trayer. I am an author and a blogger. You can find us at TrayerWilderness.com. My family and I live 100% off-grid in northern Idaho with solar power, and enjoy sharing our knowledge and enjoy educating on what we do here and how we live. And we also educate at TrayerWildernessAcademy.com. That's not a good sign. It was just spinning like crazy. Hopefully it doesn't do that all day. Yesterday morning our internet was flickering in and out, so hopefully we don't have that problem. But also, if useful information in these videos each week, please be willing to share them and help me reach other people just like you. We are growing such an amazing community, and that just excites me. And the more people we can reach, the better. And I'm just excited about that. Today we are going to talk about mind over matter. We talked about that last week a little bit, and I said I would teach on it. I'm also going to give you a heads up. Next week we are going to talk about health and some really fantastic things that I have delved into recently that I think everybody needs to know about. It's 11 right now thanks to the snow. Oh, thank goodness. So at least you're not in negatives right now. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, we talked about a lot last week, and I mentioned about being able to shovel and being able I was utilizing some mushrooms, but I had to be precautious. And Wednesday I felt really good. Well, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday I felt absolutely lousy, which I'm not sure if it was a result of the mushrooms, so I backed off of those. But when you have health issues and you have immune issues, oftentimes it's good to do a process of elimination, but it's also good to only start one thing at a time that's new. And I shoveled, I did mushrooms, and I also ate 2 fennel bulbs, which were absolutely amazing, sauteed up in the frying pan. But I'm not sure what was causing me the grief. And I don't think it was the shoveling, although I may have just done a little bit too much. But autoimmune diseases can be really tough because it really causes the body to do some weird and very unexpected things. But I want to share with you that if you have autoimmune diseases and if you have health issues, you are going to definitely want to join me next week, because there is hope for us all to move past these illnesses. Good morning, Cammie. And that is a huge aspect for anybody that it has chronic illness, that has autoimmune diseases. I mean, it's just so crazy. This summer I got stung by a bee and ended up with double pink eye within 45 minutes. just the weird things that happen. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, and people just think you're nuts. And I know that most people with chronic illness and autoimmune diseases live a life of people constantly telling them that it's in their head. And that is just so sad to me, because it's clearly not in their head. It isn't. And I get it. And I have done more research. I said to somebody yesterday, I'm starting to feel like a scientist. And what's scary to me is I know that this is totally divine intervention. This is totally divine input. I am reading scientific stuff that is way, way, way over my head. And God is helping me to get it. And what's really amazing with what I'm learning is how it can improve and benefit. And the couple things that I have recently come in contact with, which I feel have been divinely gifted to me, are things that kind of go like this together. 2, 3 very different separate issues, but together they pull together and are like the final puzzle pieces to completely improving my health. So I am just so excited, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys. So good morning, George. So if you guys know people that have autoimmune diseases, have chronic illnesses, are going through cancer, please have them join me next week, because I think that what I will share will help eliminate their pains. It will also help improve their health. So join me next week for sure on that. But this week, I wanted to talk about mind over matter. Mind over matter is so, so huge. I mean, in such a big way. I've spent most of my life with people telling me that I wear pink shady glasses and live in my own little world. And I'm perfectly okay with that at this point in my life, because my own little world is a really nice little place. So, but the benefits of having mind over matter and seeing life maybe through pink lenses, whatever. I'm a very optimistic person. I see life very differently than most people. And as a result of that, so much good comes from it, and there's just so many benefits to it. And mind over matter is huge, not just in a day-to-day aspect, but in an organizational aspect, in improving your life, also in a preparedness and a survival situation. Mind over matter is huge, very huge. And you know, I don't, for the longest time, I haven't felt well, but I haven't told myself that. You know, I wake up every morning, and if I'm in pain, I'm like, today is going to be a great day. And I feel great. And, you know, the more you tell yourself that, the more your body listens. What you believe, your body can achieve. And that's true of your mind as well. And I think it's really important for people to realize that. And that's why I talk so much to you guys about being cautious about what words you speak to yourself. Because that is also mind over matter, in the regard that, you know, you're catching yourself, hopefully, with a lot of negativity that's coming through, because we are our worst critics. And when you start changing that, and then you start changing your perspective on things and a positive, more positive outlook on life, you know, what we think is what we draw into our lives. So if you're thinking negativity, you're thinking pain, that's what you're going to have. If you're thinking happiness and pleasurable thoughts and you know, like today, it's sunny. I'm excited. It's sunny. I'm solar powered, so this is good. Plus I can wash. But when you think those positive thoughts and you keep catching yourself and redirecting yourself, you are changing your brain, you are changing your life, you are changing your perspective, and you're drawing into your life and into your surroundings more of what you really want in your life. You know, if you want happiness, you need to be happier. As a result of your happiness, everything around you is going to be happy, and people are going to want what you have. So I told you guys last week I was going to do mind over matter. Well, yesterday while I was doing dishes, I happened to listen to one of my favorite podcasts, and Zig Ziglar was on, and I couldn't say it any better. So I'm going to try to play this and hope that you can hear it. So give me some thumbs up and stuff that you can hear this. It's not a real long clip, but it's very worth listening to. So let me play this here. Maybe.
We always have that choice.
Yep.
The prescription a 4-hour summit on January.
Wait.
The prescription. Respond is positive.
React or respond.
Okay, here we go.
Here's Zig.
Can you hear
The
this?
question
Good
I
morning,
want to
Rachel.
start you with today is, do you respond to life or do you react to life? The doctors say that respond is positive, react is negative. You get sick, go to the doctor, she gives you a prescription, says see me tomorrow. You walk in the next day, she shakes her head and says, uh-oh, your body is reacting to the medicine, we got to change the prescription. But if she smiles and says, hey, it's working, your body is responding to the treatment, everything's going to be okay, then you get excited. Responding and reacting is going to be enormously important. On January the 23rd, 1981, I was in Kansas City, Missouri. It was my final stop on a long week. I'd all that week been doing 4-hour seminars, north, south, east, and west, border to border, coast to coast. And when I do a 4-hour seminar, I expend an incredible amount of energy. On this particular day, we were recording, and when you record, you move it up one more notch because you don't have your body to communicate with. It's got to be all voice and voice inflection and excitement and that sort of thing. So I turned it up a notch, and I already speak at about 280 words a minute with gust up to about 550. So I had really turned it up. At the end of the seminar, we had recorded that day, and our recording gear, this was in 1981, now that's a long time ago, and you had bulky equipment. One of our recording boxes weighed over 140 pounds. My son-in-law, Chad Whitmire, was with me doing the recording. We had a 3 o'clock flight back to Dallas. We finished straight up and down 1 o'clock. The airlines had said, hey, you got to be here at least an hour early so we can stow the gear. So the minute I finished, we started assembling all of the gear. We packed up as quickly as was humanly possible. We made the mad dash to the airport, got there straight up and down at 2 o'clock. When I walked into the airport, there were 2 long lines of people. We chose what I thought was the shortest line and prepared to wait. Well, I noticed almost immediately that there was a vacant spot down at the counter, and there was a sign that said position closed. I also noticed there was an individual, a lady, who was walking around behind the counter. Well, I just knew in my own mind that in a matter of minutes, that position closed was about to be turned over to position open, so I got ready. Well, sure enough, the lady walked down, she flipped that sign over, looked at the 2 long lines of people and said, those of you who have a seat on the 3 o'clock flight to Dallas, come over here. Well, quick as a flash, I was over there. I mean, I got to the new line before anybody else had even left the old line. The lady smiled at me as pleasantly as I've ever been smiled at and said, the 3 o'clock flight to Dallas has been canceled. And I said, fantastic. She looked at me strangely and she said, what do you mean fantastic? I just told you that your flight has been canceled. I said, ma'am, it's very simple. There are only 3 reasons on earth why anybody would ever cancel a flight to Dallas, Texas. I said, number 1, something is wrong with that airplane. Or number 2, something is wrong with that person that's going to fly that airplane. Or number 3, something is wrong with... Now, ma'am, if any one of those 3 situations exist, I don't want to be up there. I want to be right down here. Fantastic. Now, have you ever noticed that some people can't wait to give you the bad news? Oh, Sally, I hate to tell you this. It just kills me to tell you that. They can't wait to get the bad news out. She put her hands on her hips and she said, yeah, but the next flight doesn't leave until 6:05. I said, fantastic. Well, by now, the other long line of 2 lines of people over here are looking over at me as if to say, who is that nut that says everything is fantastic?
The
well,
Pink
they brought the
Shadies.
gate agent to a dead stop. She looked at me and she said, now look, I just told you that you've got a 4-hour wait here in the Kansas City airport, and you say, fantastic. Now, why on earth would you say a thing like that? I said, ma'am, it's very simple. I'm 54 years old. And in my lifetime, I have never before had an opportunity to spend 4 hours in the airport in Kansas City, Missouri. Well, I said, do you realize at this precise moment there are literally tens of millions of people on the face of this earth who not only are cold, but who also are hungry? And though it is awfully cold on the outside, here I am in a marvelously warm building here. There's a nice little coffee shop down the way. Going to go down there, get myself a cup of coffee, and relax for a minute. Then I've got some extremely important work I've got to do. Now, here I am in one of the most beautiful buildings in the Kansas City area, 4 hours of rent-free space, and I am really excited about doing it. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, now, Ziegler, I've heard about these positive thinkers, but man, that's kind of way out. Now, are you telling me the truth? Are you absolutely sure that's exactly what you said? Scout's honor? That is exactly what I said, and my son-in-law will validate that statement. That's exactly what I said. Okay, you said it. But now, tell me the truth, Ziegler. Is that the way you really felt? Why, of course not. I'd been gone all week. I was tired. I wanted to be headed home. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, there are some things that we absolutely are not going to change in our life. You see, I had a choice there. I didn't know of that lady, but I knew this. She could cancel my flight, but she couldn't cancel my day. You see, I had a choice there. Do I want to respond or do I want to react? I could have reacted sarcastically. I could have said, that's great, that's just great. I've had my seat now for over a month, reserved. I've had my ticket for nearly a month. I wanted to know, ma'am, as I drove up here, I could not help but notice there are a whole bunch of your airplanes sitting out there on the runway not doing a cotton-picking thing. Now, how come you can't crank up one of those airplanes and take me on down to Dallas with other folks that want to go to Dallas? I could have done that. And the next flight still leaves at 6:05. I could have jumped up and down, ranted and raved and screamed and stomped my foot, made an absolute idiot out of myself, demanded my rights. I'll sue you. That's what I'll do. Do you hear me? I will sue you for such a dastardly deed that you are pulling here. And the next flight still leaves at 6:05. Now, folks, there are some things you ain't going to change. If you were born white, you're going to stay white. If you were born black, you're going to stay black. You're not going to change one whisper about yesterday. But tomorrow, that's an entirely different story. And whether you respond to life or whether you react to life really does determine exactly what is going to happen in your life. As I said, that lady could cancel my flight. She could not cancel my day. You know how folks are. You let them cancel a day, and the first thing you know, they'll want to cancel 2 days, and then 3 days, and then 4 days. And some people, ladies and gentlemen, permit others to cancel a lifetime. I've seen it happen. Do you respond to life or do you react to life? That is an enormously important message we need to understand. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been riding down the freeway, minding your own business? You're neither positive nor negative. You're just kind of riding along down the freeway, and all of a sudden some idiot, to be kind to him, pulls in front of you. You hit your brakes, you hit your horn all at the same time, and you proceed to give him a piece of your mind. Why don't you watch where you're going, you dummy? I could have hit you, and I could have been killed, and you could have been killed too. I'll tell you, your life is not safe anymore. I mean, you really read him the right act. You get down to the office, and what do? You tell the first person you meet about these crazy people out there on the freeways, and the second person you meet, and the third person you meet must have been drunk or on drugs or something. I mean, your life is not safe anymore. I mean, you really are upset about it. And in the meantime, the man who did the dastardly deed rides merrily along, unaware of the fact that you even exist. Yet he is in control of your thinking, which means he's in control of your action. He is affecting your relationship with those below you, above you, and around you, which means he literally is in control of your career, and you don't even know who he is. It is the ultimate put down. Do you respond or do you react to life? Your self-image is the key to which one of these you do.
There you go, guys. What did you think of that? I think that is fabulous, and I love how God divinely plants all the things, for our Wednesdays. Now, there have been a bunch of messages while that was going, but share with me what you thought of that. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate that, or Joanne. And Lynn, happy to have you joining us from South Dakota. And Kelly, yes. Praise the Lord. I give him all the glory. He speaks through me, I hope, and the materials are divinely implanted. I'm sorry you were having trouble, Lynn. I hope you could hear most of it. And good morning, sweet Helen. Hope you're doing well. I just thought that was fabulous. And that is a perfect example of what I am talking about. And the thing is, we have total control over all of that. And it doesn't just apply to the crazy people on the highway or the lady behind the ticket counter. It could be sitting in front of our computer working, and all of a sudden social media pops up and we allow ourselves to be drawn into it. The thing is, we're going to have all kinds of triggers in our lives that cause us to make that decision. And when you make it a point to start doing that in your life, you can really make a huge impact on yourself and those around you. And it's going to take creating a new habit, which is what we've been talking about a lot of this year. And that new habit is catching yourself. So when you're sitting in front of the computer and you're working on your work, and all of a sudden something with Facebook pops up, or you go on there to look up something for business, and next thing you know, you're on the squirrel trail or the bunny trail. Stop yourself. Catch yourself. When I started doing this and started really paying attention to my time hogs, I would actually talk out loud. I'd be like, yo, no, and close it out and move back to what I was supposed to be doing, because I wanted to focus. I needed focused time. So catching yourself, and sometimes doing those things out loud are the things that cause our brain to really acknowledge that we are stopping that and staying focused. Love it. We'll need to apply this. Yeah, like I said, I mentioned it last week, and then to hear this yesterday just cracked me up. But and Zig Ziglar is awesome. If you liked what you heard, you can find him on YouTube and all over the internet. Zig Ziglar is a very amazing, inspirational speaker. I've listened to him for years, but that was really perfect. And you know what? At that point in the ticket line, you have to imagine also that man was exhausted after the week that he had, and racing to the airport and lugging all that equipment, and trying to be at his top notch to be recording a session that day, and then to get there. When we're tired, we react sometimes, and when we're tired, not the best in us comes out. But then again, it's still a choice. It's still a choice to choose what we're going to allow to come out. And one of the things that I've heard multiple times, Todd White says this a lot, that when you're squeezed, the only thing that should come out is God. And I just think that is so awesome. When you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. When you squeeze an apple, you get apple juice. But when you squeeze a person, you should get God. And that we're giving our best. And I really, really like that. And, that's also something that I make a point, regardless where I'm at, or if I am tired or I am crabby, that I express that. I think that's more of a woman's nature, because we share our thoughts and our feelings, where that's not always the guy's nature to do something like that. But, there's so many different ways that we can incorporate mind over matter into our lives. And honestly, guys, when you learn to be able to turn things off, we have things coming at us all the time, like the people on the highway. If you're commuting every day, it's a given you're going to experience it. I used to commute to Philadelphia every day, and they're out there. And that was a long time ago, so I'm sure there's more of them now. And the other thing is, we have people in our lives maybe, or circumstances in our lives that just keep pinging on us. You know, with our circumstances here, we are heavily under pressure. We are, it's quite the task right now to make sure we're getting everything and everybody taken care of, as well as continuing to work on our home, as well as take care of ourselves. And, you know, it is truly a choice how you look at things, how you focus on things. And mind over matter will play a huge role in survival situations and preparedness aspects of things. But when you are able to control your mind and you are able to control, you know, my body doesn't always cooperate. But I fight that. And I work really hard to overcome any negative feelings that may be a result of that. And I also adapt and overcome. And that is what we need to do a lot in life. And the more we learn to do that, and the more we learn to be unaffected by the negative stimuli in our lives, the more we can control ourselves in any situation. So in a preparedness and a survival situation, you can really pull yourself back together when you take the time on a daily basis to focus on that. And that's huge. That's really, really huge, because the first thing that's going to happen in a survival situation is that negativity is going to start rolling into place, and self-doubt and those such things. So, you know, I put last week's video and the previous week's video up on YouTube, and it was funny the different responses that I got on there. You know, I don't think that people put all of these things together as a whole. You know, how can organization and planning and goal setting actually have anything to do with preparedness or survival, when it really does have a lot to do with it? And it's also mainly a part for us to learn to control ourselves and to tap into our greatest qualities and our greatest abilities, because oftentimes we are our worst enemy. We feel that we can't accomplish things. We allow ourselves to get overwhelmed and then put ourselves in a place where we then have to push really hard to get ourselves back on track. And I think the more that we work at this, the stronger we get. It's kind of like working your abs. You know, you want your core really strong so that when you're having to lift firewood or shovel snow or whatever, that you know, with a strong core, the rest of your body cooperates. Well, with a strong core in mind over matter and putting all these techniques together, you have a very powerful opportunity to be in control. And that's important. That's important in a lot of aspects of things. If you have young children and you're ever in a survival situation and you can't keep it together, they're not going to keep it together. And just in general, you know, being able to get a handle on ourselves and being able to make the decisions to eliminate things in our lives, to eliminate the effect of things in our lives. Sorry about that. There's always going to be negative stimuli. There's always going to be, whether that's people or circumstances or things. Sorry about that. At least it's not spinning as bad as it usually does. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Having the ability to be able to be unaffected by things we can't control, that is a really, really huge thing. And there's a lot in our lives that we can't control. The other thing is being in control of the things that we can control. So when you learn these techniques and are able to, you know, like I said, I was coined wearing pink shady glasses, but it was that I chose not to be affected by things that the rest of the world is affected by. I'm not going to let that crazy driver affect the rest of my day or steal my joy or steal any part of my day. I always look at the crazy driver as my bird dog. If you're going to drive sloppy and you're going to drive like a fool, you can be the one that gets pulled over up ahead, and I'll know that there's a cop up ahead. It's all how you choose to look at things. And I always put a positive spin on things. I always put a positive twist on things. And if I'm coined wearing pink shady glasses and not in the real world, I really don't care. My world is a pleasant place, and that's where I want to stay. And that's because I'm making it that way and choosing to make it that way. I'm not a fighter. I don't like negativity, and honestly, a positive life and a life that you make the choices is a life living by your terms. And it's a lot healthier because you don't have the stress from all that negative stimuli and all of the things that you could allow to affect you. So it's always a choice. I always say a prayer for those crazy drivers. That too, because they'll either end up in a pile up ahead as well. So yes, for sure. And I just thought this was a really good thing to talk about. All of this stuff goes together. And as we put these things in order and are able to control our schedules, make some good positive habits, get rid of some of the negative habits, mind over matter, incorporating that, all of these things are going to build some really tremendous core values that will enable you to be better thinkers, better processors, and truthfully healthier and enjoy your life so much more. And, my life is not perfect. There's a lot of negative stimuli in our lives. But you know what? I am viewing life in such a positive way that I am pulling in a lot of positive things. We are just so tremendously blessed, even though we are working our tail off, and we are, I spent 3 years slowing my pace so that I was in a healthier state and I was doing more self-care. And now we are back up to that crazy pace. But I know that it will not last. I know that it's temporary, and I know that it's just till we get this house listed. And then I am devotedly going back to my slower pace, because that fast pace is not healthy. And, sometimes you do have to make those adjustments. Sometimes you do need to make varying changes. But if you know what works best for you and you know what you need to focus on, then you go back to what is important and what is valued in your life. But as a result of doing what we are doing, we are just constantly being blessed in so many different ways. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Kelly says, absolutely. As negative breeds negative, so does positive breed positive. Yeah, absolutely. And I would much rather be happy in life, and it's the same with money. If you look at money in a negative way, which is the way most of us were brought up to look at money, in a more negative way, in the way that money owns us, where that isn't true. And when you change your view on money as well, which we will talk about in the future. Next week we'll talk about health. But so please invite all your friends that have autoimmune diseases and chronic illness and varying things, because I would really love to be able to speak to their hearts next week. But we will talk about money too, because budgeting and the view of money plays a huge role as to whether we are pushing money away or drawing money in. And that is a huge, huge... Sorry about that. It was spinning and then I got caught taking a sip of coffee. Money is a tool and needs to be treated as such. This view puts it into perspective. Yeah, we all need money, and the proper perspective on money is not that it's the root of all evil. So we will talk more about that. But I thought this was kind of a good devotional to add into place this week. Philippians 2:5, you must have the same attitude that Jesus had. Check your attitude. A flying instructor will tell you that periodically your plane needs to be trimmed or balanced in flight. After flying through storms, it gets knocked out of alignment and needs to be adjusted. The same thing happens on your spiritual journey. The storms of life can knock you out of alignment. Unexpected weather conditions like sickness, depression, unemployment, divorce, disappointment, and death can force you to change direction and strategy. That's why your attitude needs to be regularly checked and adjusted. So what are you dealing with that calls for an attitude check? Paul writes, you must have the same attitude that Jesus had. Is such a lifestyle possible? Yes, but you must make it a priority and pursue it each day. Joshua wanted to turn an army of complainers into an army that could conquer the promised land. So God gave him this formula for success. Study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, and be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then will you prosper and succeed in all that you do. Try the 3x5 technique. Each week, identify a scripture that relates to an area in which you want to grow. Write it down on the 3x5 card and memorize it. In 1 year, you'll have 52 scriptures you can recall and stand on. Think how that will impact your life. Not only will wrong attitudes become right attitudes, but your life will begin to move in the right direction. Amen. And you know, mind over matter and the wrong attitude kind of go hand in hand, because your attitude in perspective to anything can change anything. Your attitude, again, if it's negative or positive, is going to affect the outcome of anything that you are involved in. And I think it's really important that we have our attitudes in check. Good morning, Teresa. And that is the key thing. And our attitudes at times can also be a heart issue. If our hearts are not in the right place, it's going to be hard to change our attitudes until we change our hearts. So digging into the Word is one of the best places to, as it says, get your, find balance. And I've shared this with you guys many times. I struggle greatly if I don't delve into the Word every day. I just feel lost and misguided, flying without a GPS maybe. And it's really important that we take that time. And if you don't know where to begin, there's great devotionals out there. Jesus Calling is a fantastic devotional. I've used that for years and years. My friend Rachel gave that to me. Thank you, Rachel. And that has been gifted a multitude of times as well. And just crazy how every time you pick it up, the devotional always pertains to what's going on. And it didn't matter how many years in a row I used it. It's just always really awesome. So, if you don't know where to start, to delve into God's Word, a good devotional is a great place to start. And then learning to dig into the Bible and read more of what the passages are for that day. But being in His Word is really, really powerful. It's very centering. It's very directional. And truthfully, I really, really enjoy my solitude and my quiet time with God. It would be just like trying to learn anything with the TV on and kids running around the house and just constant noise. You don't observe and absorb anything. So when you take that good quiet time and you spend time with Him, and whatever you have available, oftentimes we think that we don't have the time, but you've got a lot of hours in your week. And if that means that you only can take 15 minutes a week or a half an hour a week, it's a start. But I have to do it daily, and that's just my protocol, and that's how I do it. But how many of you are still writing your journals? Many of us took that up as one of our positive habits for the year. I am on track. I'm excited, and I'm very grateful for that. There was actually a devotional on that this morning, and I'm going to read that real quick. Deuteronomy 32:29. Oh, that they would consider their latter end. If your goal is personal growth, then you must make time for reflective thinking. So, 1, remove yourself from distractions. Reflection and distraction don't mix. Reflection requires solitude, as I was just saying. It's not the kind of thing you can do well near a television while the phone's ringing. You say, but I don't have time to spend in reflection. We all have 168 hours each week. If you spend just one of them reflecting, you'll be amazed how your life will be enriched. 2, regularly review your calendar or journal. Most people use their calendar as a planning tool, which it is, but few use it as a reflective thinking tool. What could be better, however, for helping you to review where you have been and what you have done, except maybe a journal? Those 2 things remind you of how you've spent your time. They show whether your activities match your priorities. They help to see whether you are making progress. They also offer you an opportunity to recall activities you might not have had time to reflect on previously. Some of your most valuable thoughts may have been lost because you didn't give yourself the reflection time you needed. 3, ask the right questions. The Bible says, oh, that they were wise, that they would consider their latter end. Ask yourself, am I growing personally and in my walk with God? Am I strengthening my relationships with the people who matter in my life? Am I using the gifts and sharpening the skills God has given me? Reflecting on such questions can change your life for the better. And again, amen. And how many of us can agree to that? You know, the more that we reflect on things and really evaluate what we're doing, the better we can be, in my opinion. Still struggling, but getting better. You know what, girl? Callie, we're always going to have struggles. We're always going to have challenges. But as we progress in life and we learn to tap into these skills and the abilities we have personally, we will start changing our perspective. And I truly believe that the struggle isn't as great. And I say that from experience because with these fantastic pink shadies that I wear, you know, as I age, my life just keeps getting sweeter and the less struggles I have. And yes, I do have struggles, but I think because of my perspective and my view and my determination to eliminate the negativity, you don't hang on to those struggles. You acknowledge them, but you're so much quicker to move past them. And to me, that is just such a huge celebration because I've struggled my whole life with in a lot of different areas as a result of a lot of different experiences. And when you learn to be able to progress and get to this point, it is really an amazing place. It's just nice to not be as affected by your struggles as you know you were previously. And that's a good thing. And that's life, that's healing, that's progression, that's aging and also getting wiser as we go and learning coping mechanisms and handling mechanisms. And that's important. And that's what this is all about. Last year and this year, I really feel that is what this is all about. Living with intention, new beginnings, and keeping ourselves on track, and learning that how we handle our day-to-day basis will help us to handle life skills and the unexpected and survival situations in such a healthier way. So I think it's amazing, and I'm always so thrilled to be able to share what I'm learning and what I have experienced in hopes of shedding light for you guys too. Because our walk is ultimately what we make it. And you know, that is that we could allow other people to infringe upon our lives and make it and lose days, as Zig Ziglar said, or we can choose to acknowledge their craziness, but let it be their craziness and not ours. You know, I hope this makes sense. Sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm rambling, but I think you guys get it. And it's just, you know, we have a huge ability to control a lot in our lives, and a lot more than we realize. And once we realize we can tap into that and control those things, It's amazing. And then it's also really amazing when we know that there are things that we can't control and we don't let them own us. And that is even more huge, because I think that is the biggest struggle, is when we allow those things to cause us great struggle. It affects the rest of everything we're doing. So when we can learn to not be affected by those things that we can't control and just let them go or give them to God. You know, there's a lot we can't control. The only thing we can control is ourselves, and ultimately. And when we learn to control ourselves and not let everything else control us, huge progression happens. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys, and I look really forward to sharing next week's information with you also, because I think we can all use it. And keep that in mind. What I will be sharing next week is super big for those with chronic and autoimmune diseases and dealing with cancer and having gone through chemo and toxins in the world, those type of things. But in general, it is something that we can all benefit from. So everybody, I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm going to say a prayer for us. Papa, I just thank you for your constant hand on all of us, how you help us to grow and build upon your word, and just find your love in our hearts, and just your grace and your constant presence. And Lord, I just ask that you wrap your loving arms around everyone here that has watched this, whether on YouTube or Facebook, and just be with them, strengthen them, guide them, help them with whatever they're walking out right now. Allow these words today to help them grow. And Lord, I just give you all the glory. I know that this is all divine every week, and I'm just so thankful the way you use me. And I just ask that you keep everyone safe and allow them to feel your presence, and just help them in their walk as they progress this year, making changes in their lives and adjusting as necessary. And just give them the courage and the strength to keep going and to see their self-worth and to speak loving words that you would speak to themselves. And Lord, I just thank you for this beautiful day, the sunshine, the snow, the brightness, and just your hand on all of us. Just keep us all safe. And Papa, I just thank you for all that you're going to do. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Okay. Will you do a preview post that we can share? For the weekly video, as far as when I'm going to go live? Let me know that, Tammy. And Melody says, I won't miss next week. Awesome. Awesome. Good deal. And thank you for your words on our picture, Melody. I love that picture. As a matter of fact, I have a wedding picture that looks like that. That's one of my gifts and I forget how you word it, but it's a curse and a gift at the same time. Because when I find things funny, I laugh, and that's typically how I laugh. It's like all teeth or nothing, you know. So I'm referring to the picture that I share every week about the Facebook Live. She made mention that she loves that picture, and I do too. It depicts the mountain man and I greatly. Kelly says, you froze up, so I said my own prayer and asked God to be patient with us, to inspire us, and to give us all strength in our journeys. Amen. Thank you very much. And yes, that's pretty much exactly what I said. We need the courage to keep going every week, you know, because that's what this New Beginnings is all about. Because we're going to hit roadblocks. We're going to hit struggles. We're going to, you know, inadvertently, people are going to steal our days. It happens. We have the ability to try hard to stop that, but as you progress and as you grow in that, you're going to still experience that. So don't be hard on yourself. See it for what it is, and use it as a stepping stone to continue to improve as you walk this out. So don't be discouraged by your failures. Don't be discouraged by your mistakes. Those are the things we learn from the most. Those are the things that make it all real. If we weren't experiencing mistakes, it would be because we're sitting in and not doing anything. A mistake means that you are making progress and that you are moving. And you are moving forward because you're going to view that mistake as a stepping stone and not sit there and be disappointed by it. You're going to keep moving and you're going to keep moving forward. That's what we talked about failing forward a couple weeks ago. So use those, everything we experience for a reason. I truly believe that. And I truly believe that we need to experience those failures in order to succeed. So please see them as a positive and please see them as progress. Because if you're not failing, you're complacent. And complacency is a bad place to be. You want to keep moving. You want to keep moving forward. So I think that's great. So guys, thank you.